Great Horn Email Security protects organizations from advanced threats such as impersonations, credential theft, and zero-day attacks. With Great Horn, you will detect and block more phishing threats from reaching users, reduce risk by providing employees with in-the-moment education, and quickly remove dangerous emails from inboxes in just 2 clicks. Great Horn protects your organization before, during, and after an email attack. Schedule a demo by visiting securityweekly.com/greathorn. When it comes to modernizing identity, Active Directory just makes everything harder, from managing access for contractors and departing employees to securing cloud apps and on-prem systems. Your company deserves better. Choose Okta, the modern identity platform that securely connects anyone that touches your organization to any technology they want to use. Okta reduces AD vulnerabilities, secures not only employees but contractors and customers, simplifies domain consolidation, and reduces your attack surface. To learn more, visit securityweekly.com/Okta. Security can't solve crucial problems when they have to wade through thousands of alerts a day. With ServiceNow, you can easily prioritize and respond to your most crucial business threats. That way you can go from overwhelmed to under control. ServiceNow brings security, risk, and IT together on one platform. Learn more at securityweekly.com/ServiceNow. Welcome back, everyone, to Enterprise Security Weekly. RSA is early this year. The RSA conference in 2020 will be held on February 24th through the 28th. Join thousands of security professionals, forward-thinking innovators, and solutions providers for 5 days of actionable learning, inspiring conversation, and breakthrough ideas. Register before January 24th. Save $900 on a full conference pass. You can also save an extra $150 by going to securityweekly.com/RSAC 2020. Use our code to register. They also just announced their keynote speakers. I saw a lot of that in the press. I haven't read it yet, but apparently they've announced some of the keynotes for RSA. So always fun times. We'll be there. You should too. Heather Paunet, did I say that right?
Yes, close enough. Heather Paunet.
Paunet, I got it. She is the Vice President of Product Management at Untangle. She has over 15 years of experience driving the development and go-to-market software solutions. Heather, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks. Nice to be here. Looking forward to talking to you.
Absolutely. And we're going to talk about software-defined networking. And what's kind of interesting is, while I love technology and innovation in technology, with networking, like, I'm still kind of nostalgic about having a physical router. When I bought my first house, what would become my dining room was like my server room, and I had routers and stuff spread all over it. So I liked the physically plugging the cable into the router. But of course, we talk a lot about SD-WAN and SD-WAN technologies here on the show. So I'm anxious to learn more.
Yeah, well, the good news is you'll still be able to physically plug a cable in as you use software-defined networking, because what we're really doing with software-defined networking is we're providing one virtual network that can bring a company together from the headquarters to the various branch offices, especially as companies are becoming more and more globally dispersed at the moment. Setting up a software-defined network to connect all those offices together is what we're trying to do with software-defined networking.
That's great, because if you've ever worked with Frame Relay, and that was the old way to do one of the old ways to do this, software-defined networking sounds way better than what we experienced with Frame Relay, right?
Yeah, so a little bit more about how that works. So if you think about having a network set up, let's take, for an example, a company that has a corporate headquarters, and they have, between 5 and 100 branch offices. So you can deploy some software in the cloud or in the headquarters, and then at each of those remote locations, you can have what we call a SD-WAN router that will connect to that corporate headquarters or connect up to the cloud. And that's what gives the access to all the different locations of all the offices that can be around the world, that can be around one different town or wherever they happen to be located.
You mean I don't have to pull a T1 connection to my branches anymore?
Yeah, well, that's one of the great things about software-defined networking. So at these different branch offices that you may have, you're not always guaranteed the best possible internet connection there. So the little SD-WAN routers that are sitting at each branch office location, as well as providing network connectivity to the corporate network, they're also sitting there and optimizing the network at the branch. So let's say you only get 50 megabits per second at the branch office, and at the headquarters you get 1 gig. Well, at the branch office, you don't have to think about, well, I'm only getting 50. I really want to get 100 to share between all the people and all the applications I'm using. Well, with the SD-WAN routers as part of your software-defined networking, they'll optimize the internet connection that you already have so that you don't need to use T1 lines, so that you don't need to upgrade your existing infrastructure.
So in that particular case, what I really need is a good service provider that gives me the best connectivity I could get. I can give you examples where I used to live. I used to get a full 7 meg from CenturyLink. And now I have a 1 gig fiber, right? So in the same company, by the way, just completely different location. But as long as you kind of get your internet service provider, then the SD-WAN that kind of sits on top of that kind of optimizes based on what your network traffic is, how to best optimize the routes for you in that particular location, which I think is interesting, right? Because a lot of us struggle with, low pipelines, the not much bandwidth.
Yeah, so even that 7 megabits per second, that will be optimized so that you can get the absolute best out of that 7 megabits per second that you can. So if somebody's doing a huge download, for example, and you also have the boss trying to do a video conference, well, that's going to get problematic with a traditional network because that video conference is going to grind to a halt while the file transfer takes place. So with the software-defined networking and the little SD-WAN routers sitting at those branch office locations, it's going to be making sure that that video traffic gets prioritized absolutely the highest. It gets sent down the best WAN link. It gets all the bandwidth allocated to it. And that file transfer, whilst really important, it's still going to happen, but it's going to take a little bit longer, enough that people aren't probably going to notice, but that video conferencing back to headquarters is going to be the best possible experience.
And Heather, what level of network engineer do you need to have to run all of this, right? And I know some of my friends are extremely talented network engineers, and they could probably do a lot of this with quality of service, but that gets really complicated and difficult to maintain. I'm assuming that your solution gives you some easier ways to manage your traffic as you just described.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have our software-defined networking solution as part of what we call our network security framework. And one of the fundamental components of that is our cloud-based management tool, which is called the Untangle Command Center. And from that command center, whether you're on the road, whether you're at home, whether you're in one of the offices, you can get full visibility of all the pieces of your software-defined networking just from any browser, no matter where you are. It comes with zero-touch provisioning for every appliance you might need to put into, a handful or 100 of your remote offices. It gives you statuses and alerts all from that one cloud-based management system to make it really, really easy. And Untangle in particular, we think about small to medium-sized businesses as well as distributed enterprises. So for us, it's absolutely key that you don't need a network engineering degree to get things up and running. You want to be able to send your devices where they need to go, plug them in, zero-touch provisioning, and off you go. They just work.
Yeah, because that's a challenge in a lot of organizations, right? Is having that talent, keeping that talent. If you're a smaller business, being able to afford that talent to be able to build some of the capabilities you've talked about, and that's what I like about Untangle is they make it much easier to deploy this type of technology.
Yeah, and just thinking about what you say about smaller businesses, often they don't have a network administration or a full-time IT person at all, and they may be relying on a managed service provider to help them. And so one of the things we also try and do is make it really easy for a managed service provider to manage many of his customers all at once, all from that cloud-based management system.
Now, are there security features that are also built into this platform as well?
Yeah, so as parts of our network security framework, it actually has a few different components. So we touched on the cloud-based management system, and I mentioned the SD-WAN router as well, which has itself a layer 3 firewall built into it. But as part of setting up our network security framework, you're going to be talking to a fully functioned unified threat management system, which is the Untangle next generation firewall, and that will secure the internet. It has the antivirus, intrusion prevention, web content filtering as well, and that's what really will keep the network safe and secure across all the geographical locations.
Right, and going back to the smaller businesses, compared to larger enterprises that may have a team for each one of those security technologies you talked about, you may have a small business that it's one IT person, maybe not even a full IT person for that business. So having access to that functionality is very key.
Absolutely. So from our cloud-based management system, you can manage all your next generation firewalls, all your SD-WAN routers, and all of your software-defined networking from one easy place.
So, Paul, think about our configuration for a second.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, we knew we couldn't afford a Palo Alto firewall because it was too darn expensive for us. So you bought some really good Chinese firewalls, and then you configured it all. And my end hasn't been configured yet because I'm not in the new house. But think about just dropping a couple of these SD-WAN routers in, do a little configuration, bing, bang, boom, you're done. It would be a really, I think, simple install. We have the technical knowledge to do it ourselves, but a lot of people don't have that. And this would be a really streamlined way and to get some additional capabilities.
But even at that, someone like myself, we set it up for an organization, then I get busy with other projects. How do I then update all of those and build the management? Well, first I'd have to build a management facility to manage all of those. Then I have to remember to do all the regular maintenance. I'm assuming that maintenance and management is built into the Untangle platform.
Yeah, and that's a very good point. I mean, in order to make things as easy as possible, we provide automatic updates for all of our products. So once you've got those SD-WAN routers at the different locations, you can look at them through Command Center, you can get statuses and alerts, but you can also set them up so that they automatically update to all the major releases that come up later. And by default, we'll choose a time that will probably not cause any disruption, and it'll just they update really, really quickly, so there's minimum network disruption there. But the administrator can say, if you do any auto updates, do it on Saturday at midnight or something like that. So it's really easy. Once they're deployed, you can just leave them running and set them and forget them, and then be alerted if there's anything that needs your attention.
Will it alert me when our primary gateway goes down and the 1 gig connection goes offline?
You will absolutely get an alert if any of your appliances go offline. That's absolutely key. And we provide alerts through email, PagerDuty, through Slack, all different types of alerts. And they're configurable as well. So it's not just a case of my appliance went down or I've got no internet connection anymore. It's all sorts of little things like we found some malware, or one of your employees was trying to access an inappropriate site. All these types of things can be given to you as alerts, and you can pick as few of those as you like or as many of those as you like.
Well, I like that too, because, in our example, if you deploy your own firewalls and networking, you also have to deploy your own monitoring, not just the updates, right? But now separately, is a link really congested? Is the CPU on one of my firewalls going crazy because of an attack of some kind, right? You have to build that monitoring yourself, which can be another product you have to acquire, whether commercial or open source. It sounds like that's all built into the Untangle platform.
Yeah, all sorts of alerts like that. And anytime you log into our cloud-based management system, it will show you what the CPU usage is across different appliances. And it will give you a snapshot over the whole network as to what's going on, collectively across the whole network. We found 16 viruses today and we blocked 7 of them. And then from there, you can drill into individual locations to get a more detailed picture.
Yeah, and that saves so many resources, valuable resources, regardless of the size of your business, right? Is to take a lot of that stuff just off the table and help automate it in one platform is better than trying to acquire it and having multiple teams and building all that infrastructure out, even if it's for your remote offices, right? Those tend to be the most problematic, right? Because we set up the connection, maybe someone goes there, sets up the firewall, and then, it kind of falls out of the visibility, right? You're focused on the main network architecture and other priorities. So having this take care of the remote offices makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And just thinking along the lines of how much knowledge people may have in some of the smaller businesses, one of the places that we do particularly well is in an educational environment. And sometimes we've seen that it can actually be the physics teacher that ends up taking care of IT and network management. Now, physics teachers are pretty technical and hands-on, but they're not necessarily up to scratch with what you would have if you had a networking degree. So making it really easy for them is important.
Yeah, I was actually in that exact position, right? I worked for a university. There were several different colleges and schools of varying levels of size and complexity of their networking. And in some cases, like you said, it was the administrator, right, of that department that was responsible, was the IT point of contact, right? In other cases, it was really technical people and everyone in between. So having a standard platform like that, I can see that being very popular for educational institutions.
Yeah. And then when there isn't even anybody as technical as, say, the physics teacher, that's when a small company can turn to a managed service provider for some extra outside help as well.
Outstanding.
So if I wanted, I assume appliances and virtual appliances software based as well. Is that how the different configurations are offered, both as a physical appliance and as software kind of virtual appliance download stuff?
Yeah, so for all the products that we offer as part of our network security framework, we do have physical appliances, and they're the turnkey, get it delivered to the customer site. They'll make one phone call with a serial number, and then it can be set up remotely from the cloud-based management system. But they're also available as virtual appliances as well. So VMware ESXi, for example, is a way of doing it, or choosing your own hardware for the next generation firewall, and you can run it pretty much on any hardware that you want to, and then you can set up your own memory requirements and disk space and things like that.
Great. Fantastic. Anything else about the platform that you wanted to inform our audience about, Heather?
Well, I can just leave it as saying, as part of our network security framework, the most recent piece of news from Untangle is that we released our official 1.1 version of our SD-WAN router just this week, so just a couple of days ago, and we're all still really excited about that over here.
Fantastic. Heather, thank you so much for appearing on Enterprise Security Weekly.
Thanks for having me.
And with that will conclude this show. Thanks, everyone, for listening and watching. We'll see you next time on